Did Claire win you over completely at that lunch? Whose side were you on more in this part, Claire's or Iris's? And what line hit hardest for you? This is an original story. Any resemblance to real people, places, or events is purely coincidental. Iris slept badly. Not because Claire's bed wasn't comfortable. That bed was criminally comfortable. The sheets alone felt like they had opinions about public education. The mattress seemed designed by engineers who had personally declared war on lower back pain. Even the pillows felt wealthy. No, Iris slept badly because every time she drifted off, reality came back in fragments. My wife. Bring your wife. Tomorrow. 1 o'clock. Lunch. Also because Claire Donovan, maddeningly warm and real and apparently incapable of taking up space without becoming the center of it, had fallen asleep beside her sometime after midnight with one arm loosely draped across Iris's waist like they had been doing this for years instead of barely 2 days. And Iris had not moved it. Which was its own problem. She woke just after 7 to pale morning light spilling through the huge bedroom windows and the quiet sound of the shower already running in the bathroom. For one dangerous second, she lay still and looked at the empty side of the bed, then at the dent in the pillow, then at the ring on her hand. Still there. Still offensive. Still beautiful. Iris sat up slowly, pushed her curls back from her face, and muttered to the empty room, "I could still fake my death." From the bathroom, Claire's voice came through the half-open door, warm with amusement. "You do it theatrically. My family would know it was a lie." Iris froze, then narrowed her eyes at the door. "I hate that you can hear me from everywhere in this apartment." Claire turned off the shower. That sounds like a design compliment. It wasn't. It still counts. A few minutes later, Claire emerged in a cloud of steam, already half-dressed, hair damp at her shoulders, sleeves of a pale blouse still unbuttoned, a towel thrown carelessly around her neck in a way no woman with that kind of posture had any right to pull off. Iris stared for 1 second too long. Claire noticed immediately. "Good morning," Claire said. Iris folded her arms. "You look smug." "I'm not smug. You're tall smug." Claire paused while fastening one cuff. "That's a new category. You inspire creativity." Claire's mouth curved. "That's one way to say it." Iris slid out of bed, found the oversized shirt she had borrowed the night before, and pulled it on with more aggression than necessary. "I'm not going." Claire buttoned her second cuff. "You are." "No, I'm really not." "I've thought about it carefully for at least 6 seconds." Claire glanced up. "A record." "I'm serious." "So am I." Iris dragged both hands through her hair. "Your mother hates me already." Claire's gaze sharpened just slightly. "My mother doesn't know you. She knows enough. She knows I got married without asking her permission. That's what she hates." Iris snorted. "That's not the comforting distinction you think it is." Claire stepped closer, not crowding, just close enough that Iris had to tilt her chin to hold the look. "You're not going there for her comfort," Claire said. "You're going because you're my wife and because I'm not letting them speak about you as if you're theoretical." That landed squarely in Iris's chest. She hated when Claire said things like that in the morning. It felt unfair. Iris tried to recover with sarcasm. "And here I thought I was going for the free lunch." Claire's expression softened. "You can also go for the free lunch." Iris stared at her for a beat. Then, because she was weak and because Claire's damp hair and rolled sleeves and composed voice were doing impossible things to her ability to remain hostile, she muttered, "Fine. But if anyone calls me a phase, I'm stealing silverware." Claire nodded thoughtfully. "Take the ugly pieces." "You have ugly silverware?" "No. But they do." That got a laugh out of Iris before she could stop it. Claire looked annoyingly pleased. "Don't," Iris warned. "Don't what?" "Look like that because you made me laugh." Claire's brows lifted in false innocence. "Like what?" "Victorious." Claire smiled. "I'll try to suffer more visibly." She did not suffer visibly. Not once. By 10:30, the apartment had become a staging ground. Not in a dramatic, assistants running through hallways way. In the much more dangerous Claire Donovan way, where every detail seemed calm until Iris realized one had been anticipating another the whole time. A garment bag had appeared. So had 2 shoe boxes. There was tea on the kitchen counter, fruit no one had asked for, and a printed lunch address placed near Claire's keys like they were attending a board meeting instead of a family interrogation. Iris, standing in the dressing room doorway in jeans and a black silk cami, stared at the garment bag like it might contain a legal attack. Claire emerged from the closet carrying it with one hand. "No." Claire set it gently on the bed. "You haven't seen it. I don't need to." The answer is no. It's not a trap. It's absolutely a trap. It's in a garment bag. Claire unzipped it. Inside was a suit. Not loud. Not bridal. Not trying too hard. Cream-tailored trousers. A fitted soft ivory blouse. A structured blazer in deep muted green. Elegant, sharp, expensive in a way that whispered instead of screamed. Iris went quiet. Claire noticed. That woman noticed everything. "It's not for them," Claire said. "It's because you look extraordinary in it." Iris touched the lapel once. "You bought me clothes." Claire leaned one shoulder lightly against the closet frame. "I anticipated resistance." "That is such an alarming sentence. You were never going to wear something my mother could mistake for uncertainty." Iris looked up. Claire held her gaze. "My family reads weakness into softness," Claire said. "I prefer not to give them the chance." Something shifted in the room. Not large, not loud, but enough. Enough for Iris to understand that this wasn't Claire dressing her up like an accessory. This was Claire handing her armor. Iris swallowed once, lightly, and ran a hand through the sleeve. "You really think I'd look good in this?" Claire's gaze moved over her, slow and deliberate, with no apology in it at all. "I think I'll have a difficult time focusing if you wear it." Heat shot straight up Iris's throat. She looked back at the suit with great intensity, because looking at Claire right then seemed medically irresponsible. "Wow," Iris said. "That was manipulative." Claire's voice stayed maddeningly calm. "Was it effective?" Iris exhaled. "Very." 20 minutes later, she stood in front of Claire's full-length mirror wearing the suit and trying not to react like a woman who had just discovered she could, in fact, destroy entire family dynasties before dessert. The deep green blazer made her dark blonde curls look warmer. The ivory blouse softened nothing, which was ideal. The cut of the trousers was sharp enough to keep up with her mouth. Claire had apparently guessed her size with obscene accuracy. Iris turned once, slowly, then looked at Claire in the mirror. Claire was in charcoal today. Sleek trousers, silk blouse, a fitted jacket, shoulder-length brown hair smoothed into effortless control, diamond studs back in place, watch catching the light like a threat. For a second, they simply looked at one another in the mirror. Like this. Side by side. A pair. It should have been ridiculous. Instead it looked dangerously right. Iris recovered first by being unpleasant. "I don't like how good you are at this." Claire stepped up behind her, close enough for the warmth of her body to register, but not touching. "At dressing women for battle?" "At everything." Claire's eyes met hers in the mirror, softer now. "Not everything." Iris's pulse shifted. "Name one." Claire was quiet for one beat. Then she said, "My family." That took all the air out of the room for a second. Iris turned to face her fully. Claire looked back, not avoiding, not retreating. "And if you love stories where the flirting is sharp, the women are sharper, and somebody's wealthy family is about to learn the hard way that marriage changed the rules, subscribe now. Because lunch with the Donovans was not going to be polite for long." The drive out to Claire's parents' house took 35 minutes. Too long to ignore the destination. Too short to truly prepare for it. The city gave way to quieter streets, then older money neighborhoods where the trees looked curated and the houses had the kind of gates that implied a deep distrust of the general public. Iris sat with one leg crossed over the other, staring out the window at iron fences, manicured hedges, and front drives large enough to host minor diplomatic incidents. "I've decided I hate all this shrubbery," she said. Claire kept one hand on the wheel. "That's fair. It's smug landscaping." Claire's mouth twitched. "You're nervous." "I'm observant." "You're both." Iris turned to look at her. "You're very relaxed for a woman bringing her impulsive wife to her family's estate after a surprise marriage." Claire glanced over, just once. "I'm not relaxed." "You look relaxed." Claire turned into a long drive lined with trimmed hedges and stone lanterns that looked old enough to come with a trust fund. "That's because panicking would be unproductive." Iris snorted. You were born in a boardroom. Claire pulled up in front of the house, or rather mansion, because calling it a house felt like insulting its own architecture, and put the car in park. It's not a mansion, she said. Iris stared through the windshield at the enormous stone facade, tall windows, black shutters, 2 levels of symmetry, and a front door that probably had opinions about common people. Then she turned slowly back to Claire. I need you to know that in no universe is this not a mansion. Claire unbuckled. All right. It's a modest mansion. Wow. I'm leaving. Claire caught Iris gently but firmly by the wrist before she could reach for the handle. The touch stopped her faster than the words. She looked down at Claire's hand. Then up. Claire was no longer amused. Not exactly. Serious now. Focused. Present. Listen to me, Claire said. The air in the car changed. Iris held still. Claire's fingers loosened slightly but didn't leave. They will try charm first. Then judgment dressed as concern. Then strategy. Don't let any of it convince you you're standing here by accident. Iris searched her face. And if they go after you? Claire's expression sharpened. They'll go after both of us. That honest answer should have scared her. Instead, it steadied something. Iris lifted her chin. And if I insult your mother before the appetizers? Claire's mouth softened. Aim carefully. That almost made Iris smile. Almost. Then Claire lifted Iris's hand, turned it, and pressed one brief kiss to the inside of her wrist. Not showy. Not theatrical. Small. Private. Devastating. For the record, Claire said quietly, you look extraordinary. Iris's breath caught. Claire. I know. Claire let her go. Terrible timing. You're impossible. And yet you married me. Iris opened the car door before that line could do more damage. The front door opened before they reached it. Of course it did. Nothing about this family felt like they waited for things when they could stage them. A woman in her early 60s stood in the doorway like she had personally trained the house to present itself properly. Elegant navy dress, pearls, silver blonde hair swept back, posture so impeccable it made Claire's seem almost casual. Her face was beautiful in a severe, expensive way. Her eyes landed on Claire first, then dropped to the ring, then moved to Iris. They stayed there. Not rude. Worse. Measured. Mama, Claire said evenly. Claire. No hug. No kiss. No warmth to hide behind. Then the older woman looked at Iris and offered a smile, so polished it might have been diamond cut. You must be Iris. There it was. A test disguised as greeting. Iris smiled back with all the sweetness of a sharpened blade. And you must be the mother who sent the threat by text. Claire turned her head, very slightly, to hide a reaction. Her mother did not. One eyebrow rose with controlled interest. I see you're direct. I own a gallery, Iris said. I don't really believe in pretending ugly things are beautiful. Claire's father appeared in the entry hall behind his wife before the silence could deepen further. He was taller than Claire, older in the shoulders, broad-faced, distinguished, the kind of man whose presence had probably been enough to shut down rooms for decades. He looked less surgical than his wife, also less forgiving. Inside, he said. Not unkindly. Not kindly either. Just a command that had grown used to being obeyed. Claire stepped forward first. Iris stayed exactly half a step at her side. Not behind. Never behind. The house was worse on the inside. Quiet art. Better than private museum art. Dark wood. Soft runners. Smell of polish and money and things handed down through generations. Nothing cluttered. Nothing accidental. Even the flowers in the hall looked disciplined. Iris took all of it in once and then decided she hated the staircase on principle. They were led into a sitting room the size of her gallery's front space, where a maid in a gray uniform was placing glasses of sparkling water on a low table. That, too, felt like an insult from another century. Claire's mother sat first. Claire's father took the chair beside her. Claire remained standing until Iris did. Again, not a big thing. But Iris noticed. Of course she noticed. Claire sat only after Iris sat. Her knee brushed Iris's once. A warning or reassurance or both. For one painful minute no one spoke. Then Claire's mother folded her hands in her lap and said, with extraordinary control, You can imagine our surprise. Iris opened her mouth. Claire spoke first. No, actually I can't, she said. Because I wasn't surprised. I was there. Iris turned her head slightly. Oh, that was good. Her father's jaw tightened almost invisibly. Her mother's smile thinned. Don't be clever, her mother said. Claire's tone stayed flat. Then don't be condescending. It happened that quickly. No slow build. No polite opening. They were in it immediately. Her father leaned back and studied Claire in that deeply paternal way older men often imagine to be neutral. You disappear for one evening and come back married. One event followed another, Claire said. Her mother's gaze moved to Iris again. And you truly believe this is wise? Iris didn't miss the trick. Not believe this marriage is wise. Not you both. Just you. As if the burden of sense had obviously been hers to carry. Before she could answer, Claire did. No, Claire said. I believe it's done. Her mother turned to her. That is not an answer. It's the relevant one. Her father exhaled once through his nose. You're speaking like a litigator, because you know this was reckless. Possibly, Claire said. Still done. That word again. Iris felt it beside her like a wall going up. Her mother's eyes shifted back to Iris. What exactly do you want from my daughter? There it was. The first real strike. Not even disguised now. The maid entered then to announce lunch was ready, which almost made Iris laugh from sheer timing. Of course, the question of motive would be asked just before a meal. Claire stood immediately. Lunch, she said. Her mother did not move. I asked a question. Claire's gaze dropped, hard as glass. And you'll ask it respectfully or not at all. The room went very still. Iris turned slowly to look at her wife. Claire did not take her eyes off her mother. There was no anger in her face, which made it much more dangerous. Her mother saw it too. Something flashed across the older woman's expression. Not fear, but the recognition of a daughter who had stopped being manageable a long time ago. Then she rose. Fine, she said. Lunch was set in a formal dining room with high windows, white linen, silver that actually deserved to be stolen, and a table long enough to imply old family wounds passed down by place setting. Iris sat to Claire's right. Her mother sat opposite. Her father at the head. Claire at the other end, which might have felt symbolic if the whole room weren't already practically screaming it. The first course arrived. No one touched it for a moment. Then her father, perhaps deciding civility might still be salvaged, said, I'm told you own a gallery. It was not a compliment. It was a request for dimensions. I do, Iris said. What kind? Contemporary. Emerging and mid-career artists, mostly. He nodded once, like a man filing away data. And it does well? Iris picked up her fork with leisurely calm. Well enough that I'm still having lunch in houses like this against my better judgment. Claire's mouth moved, just barely. Her father did not smile. Her mother did not bother hiding hers, a small, tight thing, not from pleasure but from seeing a line drawn. And your family? Her mother asked. Claire set down her water glass. Iris saw it happen and knew, suddenly, with total clarity, that Claire was counting the strikes. My family, Iris said lightly, would describe this table as a lot. Her mother folded her napkin once. I'm sure they would. Claire's eyes lifted. Mother. Iris reached for her water before Claire could escalate, mostly because she needed something cold in her hand. They were expecting a son-in-law eventually, she said. So this weekend has been educational. Her father studied her. And are you in the habit of educating people through impulsive legal commitments? Claire answered before Iris could. She's in the habit of standing by decisions once she makes them. It hit the table like a stone dropped in still water. Iris turned. Claire kept her focus on her father. Her father's gaze sharpened. Do you know that after 48 hours? Claire's answer came without hesitation. Yes. Something hot moved through Iris's chest, painful and bright. She looked down at her plate. Bad idea. Because then she smiled, however slightly, and she absolutely could not let Claire's mother see that. The second course arrived. No one relaxed. Her mother cut into her food with surgical precision. Surely you understand how this appears. Claire did not look up. I don't particularly care. You should. Why? Because our name. Claire looked up then, and the room sharpened around her. Our name, Claire repeated, calm enough to be lethal, does not outrank my life. Her father set down his fork. Her mother's expression hardened properly for the first time. This is not just about you. Claire leaned back in her chair, every inch of her radiating the kind of composure that only made defiance look more deliberate. No, she said. It's about the fact that I made a choice without asking for review. Iris looked between them, and suddenly saw it more clearly than she had before. This wasn't only about the marriage. It was about control. About a daughter who had built herself too far outside the lines to be steered. About a family who had perhaps mistaken composure for obedience for years. Her mother looked at Iris. You understand this places her in a difficult position. That one almost made Iris laugh. She seems to be handling it, Iris said. Her mother's voice cooled by another degree. I'm not talking about appearance. I'm talking about consequence. There it was again. Not love. Not compatibility. Not happiness. Consequence. As if Claire had merged with a volatile asset. Iris set down her fork. Are you asking whether I married her for money? She asked plainly. Her mother held her gaze. I'm asking whether you understand what world you've entered. Iris smiled. Not kindly. I understood the world the second I walked in and got evaluated like a suspicious handbag. Claire's father inhaled like he might intervene. Too late. Iris was done pretending her pulse wasn't steady. I know she's wealthy, Iris said. I know you think that makes everyone around her suspect. I know you've probably spent her whole life watching people approach her with hidden math behind their eyes. She lifted one shoulder. That's not my problem. I had a gallery before I met her. I'll have one whether this marriage lasts a year or 50. The silence after that was rich enough to bottle. Claire did not move. But Iris could feel her attention like heat. Her mother looked at Claire then, perhaps expecting correction. What she got was Claire setting down her napkin and saying, very evenly, that's one of the reasons I married her. Her father went still. Her mother's fingers tightened around the stem of her glass. Iris turned, stunned despite herself. Claire met her eyes for one brief second before returning to the table as a whole. She does not orbit money, Claire said. She does not perform gratitude in its presence. She does not become smaller to make anyone comfortable. And if that's unsettling in this house, I recommend adaptation. There was absolutely no recovering from that. Not for anyone. And if you've ever wanted to see a family lunch turn into a quiet declaration of war, this is your moment to subscribe, because Claire Donovan had just chosen her side at the table, and the aftermath was only getting started. Her mother's smile disappeared completely. For God's sake, Claire. No, Claire said. For my sake. The words landed with almost no volume at all, which made them impossible to dismiss. Her father looked at Claire for a long moment, perhaps trying to decide whether this had gone too far to salvage or exactly far enough to expose what had been waiting under the surface for years. When he finally spoke, it was not to Iris. Is this marriage real? Claire's answer came first. Yes. Then Iris heard her own voice follow, before she had fully planned it. Yes. Her father looked from one to the other. Not sentimental. Not softened. But forced, at last, to regard them as an actual unit. Not a stunt. Not a phase. Not a scandal to be managed by Monday. A marriage. Even an absurd one was still a marriage once both people sat in it like they meant to stay. Her mother rose first. A bad sign in any room. Excuse me, she said. She left without hurry, which somehow made the exit even colder. The door closed behind her with barely a sound. Her father remained seated. He poured himself more water, then looked at Claire. You've always confused resistance with strength. Claire didn't flinch. And you've always confused compliance with love. Well, there it was. Iris sat very still. No sarcasm now. No easy shield. Because this wasn't really about her anymore either. It was older than that. Deeper. A fight that had probably started years before a bar, a pool table, or a chapel at 2 a.m. Her father leaned back in his chair and looked, suddenly, older. Not weak. Just tired in a way power rarely admitted. And this woman, he said, turning at last to Iris, you expect us to simply accept overnight? Iris opened her mouth. Claire spoke first. Yes. Her father's eyes returned to Claire. Claire held them. Then, quieter now, she added, "You raised me to stand by my choices. You don't get to act shocked because I learned." Her father looked at her for another long second. Then he gave one short nod. Not approval. Not surrender. Recognition. "I don't like this," he said. Claire's expression didn't change. "Noted. But if you expect civility from this house," he went on, "you'll have it. Both of you." That was, by the standards of men like him, practically a hymn. Claire inclined her head once. "Thank you." He stood. At the door, he paused and looked back at Iris. When Claire was 12, she brought home a stray dog and argued with her mother for 2 days until she was allowed to keep it. Iris blinked. He continued, dry as old paper, "She has always mistaken resistance for invitation." Then he left too. The dining room fell silent. Iris turned slowly to Claire. Claire let out one long breath and touched the bridge of her nose. "I hate when he does that." "Does what?" "Wins the last line by pretending it wasn't a competition." Iris stared at her for 1 second. Then started laughing. Not polite laughter. Real laughter. The kind that arrives because all the tension has to go somewhere, or it will burn through your ribcage. Claire looked at her. Then, to Iris's immense relief, started laughing too. They laughed there alone in the Donovan dining room like complete lunatics, surrounded by silver and impossible floral arrangements, and the lingering ghost of generational control. When Iris could finally breathe again, she looked across the table and said, "Did he call me a stray dog?" Claire wiped once at the corner of one eye and shook her head. "No. He called me predictable." "That is not actually better." Claire's smile remained, looser now, softer than before lunch. "You were magnificent." Iris looked down, suddenly absurdly warm. "Your mother wants me dead." "My mother wants many things." "Comforting." Claire rose from her chair. "Come here." Iris narrowed her eyes automatically. "Why?" "I'm about to kiss my wife in my parents' dining room, and I'd rather not do it from across the table." That was enough to get Iris standing. Obviously. Claire met her halfway. The room still smelled like lunch and tension and old money. Claire cupped Iris's face with both hands and kissed her. Not filthy. Not rushed. Steady. Deep enough to feel like punctuation. When they pulled apart, Iris exhaled against Claire's mouth and muttered, "That was either romantic or territorial." Claire's lips curved. "Yes." Iris laughed softly. "You really are impossible. And yet, don't." Claire kissed her once more, quick this time. "Come on." They left through the side terrace instead of the front hall, which felt wise for everyone involved. Outside, the air was colder, cleaner, less shaped by family expectation. The terrace overlooked gardens too expensive to be trusted. Stone paths. Sculpted hedges. A fountain that probably had a maintenance staff and an accent. Iris wrapped her arms around herself and walked beside Claire in silence for a few paces. Then said, "Why did you do that?" Claire glanced over. "Which part?" "The table." "Your mother." "Your father." "Any of it." Iris stopped by the low stone wall and turned to face her. "You could have played neutral. You could have let them think what they wanted and just waited it out." Claire's expression settled into something thoughtful. Then honest. "I've done neutral," she said. "It teaches people they can keep going." Iris looked at her. Claire looked past her for a second, out over the garden, then back again. "My family likes order. They like approved choices made in approved ways. For a long time I let them mistake my good manners for agreement." A faint smile, humorless and brief. "It saved time." "What changed?" Claire's gaze held hers. "You." Iris went still. Claire went on before she could react. "Not in some grand destiny way. Don't make that face. I'm serious." She stepped closer. "I watched my mother look at you like you were a problem to be solved and realized I had no interest in being neutral about you. That was new." Something hit Iris low and hard. Not just attraction. Not just pride. Something more dangerous. "Claire." "I know," Claire said quietly. That was alarmingly sincere. "We'll both recover." Iris let out a breath that almost became a laugh. Then didn't. Because she was too busy looking at Claire. At the woman who had stood between her and that table with perfect manners and absolutely no retreat. "I thought Iris admitted slowly that maybe at some point in there you'd regret this. Claire's answer was immediate. I didn't. I know. Iris looked away toward the fountain. That's the problem. Claire stepped nearer until her shoulder brushed Iris's. Why is that a problem? Because, Iris said, still watching the water, you make it very hard to treat this like a mistake. Silence. Then Claire's hand found hers. No drama. Just fingers sliding into place as if they had every right to. Iris looked down at their joined hands and felt her heartbeat change all over again. Claire's voice was low when it came. Good. They stood that way for a minute, side by side, in the cold, expensive garden of a family that did not know what to do with them yet. Then Claire's phone buzzed. She ignored it. It buzzed again. Iris glanced over. Persistent. Claire checked the screen. This time her expression changed not to tension, but surprise. What? Claire turned the phone toward her. It was a text from June. Need you both to call me. Not urgent. Just irritating urgent. There is a man in the gallery asking for Iris. Says he's Daniel. Iris stared at the message. Every muscle in her body went still. Claire's gaze shifted to her face immediately. Daniel. Iris looked up slowly. My ex. Claire said nothing for one beat. Then, very evenly, the one your parents liked? Iris's stomach dropped. She hated that Claire had already understood the shape of the problem. Yes. Another message came in from June before either of them moved. He says he heard she got married. He also says he'd like to fix this. I already hate him. Iris closed her eyes once, then opened them. Claire was watching her with an expression Iris hadn't seen before. Not anger. Not exactly. Something calmer. Sharper. Possessive enough to make the air feel different. Well, Claire said at last, voice smooth and dangerous in a brand new way. That seems premature of him. Iris let out a breath somewhere between dread and disbelief. This day is cursed. Claire slid the phone back into her pocket and took one step closer. No, she said. Her hand settled at Iris's waist. This day, Claire added with a look that promised all kinds of trouble, just got interesting. And if you want part 4, the ex-boyfriend, the jealousy, the gallery showdown, and the moment Claire Donovan decides exactly how much wife really means, subscribe, because Daniel had just walked into the wrong story.